So about 2 weeks ago, we first learned that the Fun Pimps are working on a replacement for 7 Days to Die's current progression system, where you use magazines to level up your crafting. This is called Learn by Reading, and it is pretty unpopular with the long-term 7 Days to Die player base. And the Fun Pimps have confirmed they're working on a replacement. Madmol said, "I'm working on bringing back an LBD magazine hybrid. So less magazines, but actions, repairs, and combining items in the workbench will give you skill XP." So that's what we knew for about 12 days or so. But they've elaborated quite a bit more on how this is all going to work, as well as some additional notes we have for the future of 7 Days to Die, which I found very interesting. I think some people are actually not going to like this implementation, but honestly I think what we have here might be very interesting regardless of if you wanted Learn by Doing back. Let's get the big issue out of the way first. They are not bringing back classic Learn by Doing. For example, what you get in Darkness Falls or in my Learn by Doing mod, or what we had in Alpha 16, is not what vanilla 7 Days to Die is going to be again. Madmol confirmed that, yes, XP and leveling and perk purchasing will remain exactly as is. LBD, Learn by Doing, will only influence your crafting skills like how magazines currently do. So this is probably the most contentious part of this, I think, for the classic LBD fans that may have gotten their hopes up for a full return to Learn by Doing in 7 Days to Die. The current attribute and perk system is going to be essentially untouched, and LBD is going to be all about crafting specifically. But we do know a little bit more info about how this is all going to work, and honestly I still think it sounds very cool compared to what we have now. The first post here from Madmol on the forum says LBD made it very difficult to level some skills. Magazines solved that, but there are too many to read and it left magazine fatigue. I also wanted a system that can scale past 100 to go with the new inspired from old weapon combined system. So to make it all work, there will be less magazines and loot, providing maybe half of the skill XP, with actions filling the other half. Magazines can level skills that don't have decent action skills more, and the ones that do, less. So, magazines and actions will overdrive skills past 100, but it will get harder and slower. I don't like skill caps, they ruin your incentive to play, so there will be weapons and items all with magnitudes going up and up, but it will take a very high skill level to craft the very best items, because stats will be randomized, but the combined system lets you keep the best stats of the two items combined, so over time players can acquire the best items in the game through crafting, looting, combining, and buying, etc. Right now, you hit a wall with purple, and it's game over on progression. So we want to create an endless progression to crafting skills, items, mods, and everything in the game. Even cooking pots will have a cooking speed baked into their stats, so you'll always be finding better stuff. Imagine a 200% fuel saver late game, but the first one is 10% based on game stage. I assume here he means loot stage, because 7 Days to Die loot works on loot stage, not game stage anymore. And he continues with or crafting skill. It's a big change, but one that will add legs to looting, crafting, and purchasing. Right now, I kind of stopped buying stuff from the trader, but if he had a purple auto shotgun that had one stat better than mine, I'd buy it and I would combine the two. So the economy will be transformed as well. I'm super excited about these features. So this is really interesting. I think that really does add a lot of depth to the game as far as adding differing qualities to much more of the items in the game, like cooking pots. And you can see here he references the weapon combine system a bit here. For the uninitiated, way back in the day, a workbench used to be able to be used to combine two of the same item to create a higher quality version of it. It sounds like that's coming back with a new twist, where rather than simple level combination as a means of countering the permanent degradation that we used to have in the game, is going to actually let you continuously make much better gear for as long as you want to play, basically. I think that's quite fun, and it'll give those people that like to play until like day 200 much more to engage with for much longer, and it curbs the issue we currently experience where you get like maxed out gear on day 30 and then realize, oh, there's just nothing else to get in the game, and all you can do now is build and shoot zombies. Naturally, there's a lot of obvious ways this could end up in a car crash, but I do assume the Fun Pimps will notice at least half of them before we ever see the final implementation. He actually elaborated a little bit more though, saying, to clarify, I meant near endless progressing with crafting, looting, and buying. Perks will not be touched, but imagine finding a cooking pot that cooks 10% faster than the one you already have. Same with most things in the game. combine the two to get a better one. Permadegradation and the only way to get Old Faithful running again, a rare legendary gun not repaired with repair kits, is to find another one and combine them in the bench. That kind of thing. Crafting skills might max out at like 200 to 400, but what you get from 100 to 200 is more what you would get now from 90 to 100, so the increases get more granular later game. Still, to me as a player, that is incentive enough to keep playing even if things have slowed down some. I think the hybrid will work great. Can't find another magazine, just play the game and get some gains that way. He also finally clarifies something specific to exactly how Learn by Doing will gain you XP in this system, where he says, nested in a larger quote, reuse those same values and input them into a skill XP bar per craft. So it is definitely going to be gained by actually crafting. It'll be interesting to see how exactly they implement that without us returning to the caveman days of spam crafting stone axes and shovels of Alpha 15. But they're acutely aware of that issue. They've referenced it, hundreds and hundreds of times over the years. So I assume they have some plan to counter that strategy or disincentivize that strategy. I actually said on the forums as well, quote, it'll be interesting to see if/how this uncapped crafting progression system interacts with previously non-leveled items. Are we going to see leveled vehicles where my 4x4 might be faster than someone else's, or levels to the food you craft where my spaghetti might be more efficient than someone else's? I like the idea of depth, but I also slightly phase into PTSD from the enchanting restoration loop of Skyrim. If you know, you know. To which he responded, there is a whole other system with vehicles I designed where quality matters and specifically repairs could be needed, like when your battery degrades and is below 50% health, there begins to be detrimental possibilities, like it not starting right on the first try, and obviously when it's at 0% it won't start at all and you have to walk down the road and look for cars to wrench for parts. The best parts would be crafted later game, most likely, or sold at the traders, etc. But to answer your question, yes, one man's supercharger might give a higher percentage than the others. A top quality mini bike should be faster than a piece of shit motorcycle. We can add food quality because you can stack various qualities of items, which I should have thought of when I was asking that, but there could be a faster cooking grill crafted which speeds up cooking, or a low heat map smoke eating grill, etc. So the idea being there that your campfire makes less heat, basically. The idea is to add stats to everything so there is no more one and done with crafting or looting. Mods with magnitudes makes finding mods always interesting because it might be a little bit better than what you have instead of an insta scrap when you find cooking pots and grills, etc. that currently are one size fits all. He also commented on when this would be all added to the game, but let me boil it down for you. Quote, when it's done, and quote, showing content in the next quarter. TLDR, if you've been around 7 Days to Die for a long time, you know that significant updates that are 6 months apart are exceptionally rare, and most updates are a year, sometimes even 18 months or 2 years apart. So don't hold your breath on any of this being in your game by February. That's all I'm saying there. So yeah, Madmal has given us a great deal to think about and talk about with those forum posts, which is great to see. For a long while there, it was actually quite hard to get any communication out of the Fun Pimps outside of Fatal, who has always had a very specific field that he's very open about covering, which is largely AI and stuff like that. So seeing some engagement from the bigger picture higher up devs like Manmul is very interesting. I can't think of a time in the last 5 years of me making content on this game where I have studied these lines of communication quite closely, where the devs have been this interactive outside of their yearly dev streams and the occasional Twitter post. So it is just really cool to see that change a little bit. I'm just dropping this in. As of recording this video, I am at 79,848 subscribers. We have 24 hours roughly. I have been gaining about 100 subscribers a day for the past week, which means in about 24 hours I will probably naturally be at 79,948 subscribers. So I'm here to ask you to subscribe so that we can get the additional 50 subscribers we need to hit 80k before the end of the day. With that shameless plug out of the way because I want to hit a goal, let's get back to the video. What does this all mean for the future of 7 days? Well, I think the most important thing for a lot of players is that we are going to be liberated from the tyranny of the fucking learn by reading system, which is cause for a festival, quite frankly. It will still be in the game, but you will not be forced to go through what a lot of people consider to be this arbitrary, unimmersive readathon in order to progress your skills. You can learn by doing them if you want. It'll probably be less efficient than engaging with both systems. That's just standard game design stuff. But if you don't like those magazines, you will no longer be forced to use a mod to get rid of them. You can just do the learn by doing. I think some people are going to be disappointed with the fact that learn by doing isn't making a full return as it was in, say, Alpha 16 and earlier, but I think us 7 days boomers do sometimes have to appreciate that that was 9 years ago. The vast majority of people who have bought and played this game have probably never even noticed that there was ever a learn by doing system. They probably don't really care that much for LBD, and honestly they might be quite annoyed if the entire progression system they've had for the last decade was just yanked out and overturned for what is probably a minority of the player base that liked what they liked almost a decade ago. That said, I am always Captain Menu toggles. These could be on a menu toggle. It's a harder thing to put on a menu toggle, to be clear, like replacing all the perks and attributes in the game with learn by doing skills on a menu toggle is kind of crazy, but it's not impossible by any means. But that kind of thing might just have to fall to modders, which is fine, because it's not that hard to make a learn by doing mod, actually. Hard part was actually getting the crafting to work. So if they introduce this new crafting blended system, I could remake my learn by doing mod that's got that integrated and then just has standard learn by doing stuff, which would be unbelievably easy to make. So it could work out for us PC players at least. I still think the most important part here is that learn by doing is going to find its place in the game again as the alternate or at least supplementary crafting progression system that will untether people from that fuck-ass reading system that we've been oppressed by for, I want to say, 3 years now, but still allowing people who do like the magazine systems to just do that. Like, you can just not do the learn by doing stuff much. You can just go out and find the magazines. I assume the Nerd Outfit and Intellect Mastery 3 will all still be there for you to play with if you want. Anyway, what do you think of these changes? And if you want to see even more changes coming to 7 Days to Die in the future, check out this video popping up on screen where I go over damn near everything else I could find coming in a future update to 7 Days to Die. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.